What's going on, everybody? Generate Talent back again. We're going to be ranking wide receivers number 5 through 9 in Fantasy Flocks rankings. Again, I just rearrange it based on who I'd rather have in a Dynasty fantasy football platform. And in Sesame Street, they said which one of these is not like the other. For me, this is an easy tier break here. We're going to take Tet McMillan and we're going to drop him at number 5. Okay, when we're talking about Tet versus these other guys here, Jefferson, London, Lamb, and Neighbors, these guys have all shown elite traits. Tet could be. He has a draft capital that kind of supports the elite receiver. He is a big-time 6'4 receiver. His quarterback, Bryce Young, I'm not sold in. Kind of had a lucky year getting to the playoffs. Tet McMillan's cool. His offseason's been kind of rocky already. He was on a live stream. He used the N-word. No black background that we know of for Tet. Also, in addition to that, he made a comment to a girl about being fat on the live stream. Just not the off-season we want. A quiet off-season is sometimes a better off-season. But forget all that stuff. Here's his apology that came up. He said yesterday while on live stream, I used the term I should not have. There's no excuse for what I said, and referring to the N-word. I sincerely apologize for speaking thoughtlessly and will do better. He accepts his award at the ESPYs. No mention of the apology. Kind of use that platform just for appreciation. So some hate coming along with Tet McMillan right after his rookie season here. But easily slots in at the number 5. I'm going to bring up his stats. Barely over 1,000 yards, which is still great for a rookie receiver. We love 1,000 yards there. But being barely over 1,000 yards, snap percentage at about 90s in there, 9 out of every 10 plays, which is a beautiful thing on offense. 122 targets, we love that. That could definitely support an elite receiver on 70 receptions and 7 touchdowns. So again, with the 6'4 frame, he'll probably be a good red zone target for sure. Finished with 211 fantasy points in a PPR format. But when it comes to the rank, he finished as a wide receiver 16, and I'm just not ready to put him in the top 10. I know the age makes us excited in Dynasty of being a 23-year-old receiver with first-round draft capital, but I don't think Tet McMillan can be mentioned with these other guys just yet, or as of yet. With the rocky offseason, too, it's just not something I want to see out of a young receiver. Not quite Rashee Rice vibes, but everything else kind of worrisome. Now, looking at these 4 that we have left, we have Jefferson, London, Lamb, and Neighbors. These are elite time assets. Now, we know Jefferson, we know Lamb. Let me bring up this stat here. They have, along with Jamar Chase, they're one of 3 receivers that have been 5 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons since 2021. Now, obviously, Neighbors couldn't have done that. He hasn't been in the league long enough, and McMillan couldn't have done that. He barely went over 1,000, but you can imagine. So when we're talking about 3 elite receivers, it's Jets, it's Lamb, it's Chase, right? So I'm going to give them their props there. And right here might be surprising to some, but I'm going to move Malik Neighbors into our 4th option here. And with Malik Neighbors, something over the offseason, he did mention he's going to, he is rehabbing, right, with surgery. He mentioned he's only playing if he's 100%. Well, a couple months ago, we saw him on the crutches, which we don't usually see after a torn ACL. So a little worrisome there. We love Malik Neighbors' talent. We love Jackson Dart being there. I think they're still a little nervous that they take Carnell Tate, right? If they take Carnell Tate or another big-time receiver, it's going to hurt them both. It's going to help them both, but more likely it's going to hurt them both. So Neighbors maybe not drawing that elite wide receiver 1 talent, with another big-time wide receiver in there, with a bevy of running backs that they plan on going with Harbaugh's offense. We know Matt Nagy's not the strongest offensive coordinator. So we still love Malik Neighbors. We think he's going to be a great player for many years to come. I just think this year, little tread lightly. There's just some questions about the injury, if he's truly healthy, if they end up going to receiver early on, kind of tanks his value just a little bit out of this range. But I think he fits nicely at that 4, and I would still be picking him up if I could. I was selling him early off season, but there is film out there now. He's shed the cane. He's starting to work out a little bit. So we're excited about him, but when it comes to Jefferson, London, and Lamb, I'm not putting Neighbors right there just yet. Let's bring up Neighbors' stats. I know last year there wasn't much, but with Neighbors, I'm going to drop him down here too. Oh, actually, let's just keep him here. Okay, with Malik Neighbors, his rookie year, was much stronger than Tet McMillan's. It was on 170 targets on a 92% snap share, 109 receptions, 1,200 yards, 7 tutties, and he ranked number 6 in receivers. So he has shown us he's mega elite when he plays. That's why these two really can't be compared, and there's a huge tier break. If you ask me, Malik Neighbors slots in at number 4, and I'm not mad at it. His last year, 2025, played 4 games, was still productive, but again, not much as a sample size there. We're treating Malik Neighbors like a top 7 asset, top 8 asset. Let's take his, well, let's give you one more picture too, okay? This is Malik Neighbors on the crutch. It was kind of crazy. I've never seen that after that kind of surgery. Something we're worried about. At least enough where I don't really want to see it, right? If I have them, I'm ignoring it till I can move them. I think there's some good value there, but I think this is definitely a tier up into the next class of receivers. So right now we have Lamb, London, and Jefferson to choose from here. Coming in at number 7. And I do love Drake London.
Drake! Yes! Stop telling me like I ain't teach Drake everything he knows.
But I got to be honest with myself. If we're talking about versus Lamb and Jefferson with those 5 straight 1,000-yard years. Okay, Drake London coming in at number 7 in our Dynasty Fantasy wide receiver rankings. With Drake London, a lot to be excited about. He had 3 number 1 fantasy weeks, not just wide receiver 1. Overall, best receiver of the week. He did it back-to-back weeks. I think it was week 6, 8, and 9 or something like that. He was the best receiver in football and supplied the most fantasy points that week out of receivers. So that shows that he's an elite receiver, right? He's done it 3 weeks. Just with the quarterback turmoil here and possibly we might see Penix again. I hope not. I hope we see Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa has supported a number 2 receiver overall in fantasy in back-to-back years in Tyreek Hill. So London, there's a very good chance he could be up in the top 5 receivers with a productive and consistent quarterback year. But with that not quite set in stone, we're treading a little bit with Drake London. I think he's maybe the most athletic here, wins every jump ball, is jump ball Drake, especially when Penix is in there. But again, there's just some stuff to think about and why he doesn't quite make this top 2 with Lamb and Jefferson. Also, one thing I noticed, big Falcons follower, because I love Kyle Pitts. Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts are on vacation together. Guess who's not there? Yeah, you guessed it, Drake London. Not sure why. I don't know if that's something to read into or not, but it's something to think about. So, okay, currently with Drake, we have his last 4 seasons. Last season was obviously his least played in games played with 12. Prior to that, he's only missed 1 game in the last 3 years. So usually a healthy receiver that we can count on. But he's only got over 1,000 yards once, which is definitely worrisome. And I didn't notice that until right now. So that makes me kind of feel a little different about this. He is in his age 25 season. In his age 23 season, he took home wide receiver 5 overall on 17 games played, 100 receptions on 158 targets. Now, is he ever going to get that 158 targets again? No chance. I don't think there's any chance he gets 158 targets. That's asinine. So top 5 Drake, probably not a thing. Top 10 Drake, probably a thing. He was number 19 last year, and he only played 12 games. So we are looking at an elite receiver, right? This guy plays on 90% snap share. He's gotten 110 plus targets all 4 of his years. Last year, just under 1,000 receiving yards, but again, played 12 games. And with 7 touchdowns last year, there's a lot to enjoy with that jump ball Drake in the end zone, right? So hopefully Kyler can take advantage of that if we have to watch Penix. We know Penix goes only to Drake. Darnell Mooney was pretty much obsolete when Penix was in there. And Mooney's gone anyway. Also didn't really use Pitts, so I'm good on Penix. Get him out of there. Let's see what Tua Tagovailoa can do with Drake London. Okay, when we're talking about wide receiver 6, I think even this might be too low, but we're going with Jay Jettas. Jay Jettas has Kyler Murray coming in more than likely to be the starter for all 17 games. He doesn't miss any Call of Duty seasons. He's not going to miss another NFL season. I think Kyler Murray's going to get Jay Jettis set up and back in the discussion for wide receiver 1. Now, currently, this is wide receiver 6, which, again, might be a little offensive to Jay Jettis fans, of course, but something to consider. Here are Jetta's last 4 years. I just like to target the last 4. And as you could see, played in every game. There was that 2023 season where he only played 10 games, but for the seasons 25, 24, and 22, he played all 17 games. So he's healthy. He's playing on 95+% snap share. As of late, he's getting 150 to 140 targets in the last couple years. Had 100 receptions in 2024. 1,000 yards last year with only 2 touchdowns was super depressing. J.J. McCarthy really didn't help at all. In that, in 2024, we had 10 touchdowns out of Jettas with Sam Darnold, and he was the number 2 receiver. So which Justin Jefferson do we have here? He's entering his 27th season, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a prime year, so I think there's a couple more prime years out of Jettas before the fall-off is real. I think he does probably return to top 5 rankings this year under Kyler. I'm a big Kyler guy. Kyler's never really supported a number 1 receiver, but I think Jefferson is elite and in a different tier. I don't think Kyler's really had anyone of that ilk, at least at this point in his career, in the later half of his career. So looking at Jefferson, this one looks more like the outlier. When Jettas plays 17 games, he's wide receiver number 1 or 2. So I think it's easy to lock him in here, and I almost am regretting putting CeeDee Lamb in my 5 spot. Looking at Jetta's numbers, he's just a freak. He had one off year. He's going to bounce back this year with a quality quarterback. But for right now, let's keep it where it is, and Jetta's coming in at wide receiver 6. Here's the top dog in the, you could say, the top 5 now, the 5th best receiver in the fantasy flock rankings with these guys is CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb's also in his 27th year. So we're hoping for a couple really good years to kind of close out before the drop-off with Lamb, with Jefferson. I realize the other 3 receivers are younger, but not quite as proven as the couple we have here. So talking about CeeDee Lamb, let's bring up CeeDee Lamb's stats. Let me move London for just a second. Let me move these stats up. Okay, and this is CeeDee Lamb, his last 4 years. He's missed, 3 games last year, 2 games the year before, so he is missing some games as of late. One was last year because of a concussion. Didn't have a choice on that one. But what we're looking at here is targets, right? 117 targets last year on 14 games played. All 3 of his prior years, he had 150 targets plus, all the way up to 180. So the targets are really what you want to see when you're talking about elite receivers and the probability of them doing it again. Now, also, CeeDee Lamb had his lowest touchdown total in 3 last year, and again, barely cracked the 1,000-yard season on 14 games. But you look over at Ted McMillan, who's on the end of this list, and he played all 17 games and had less yards than CeeDee Lamb. So when we look at CeeDee Lamb, he's elite. He's special cloth alert, as DJ Khaled would say. He's had over 200 PPR points in every fantasy season. And I think CeeDee Lamb probably is safe as the 5th receiver in fantasy. You know what you're going to get. We have Dak quarterback in the best offense in football. The running back's really not going to take away from it. They got Javonte Williams back. CeeDee Lamb is elite. We know what we're getting. Just the targets alone make you excited. He's wearing number 88. 88's a legacy number in Dallas. This is something that was passed on from Michael Irvin, Drew Pearson before him, Des Bryant. If you're wearing 88, you're going to be the number 1 target. I know I'm excited about Pickens. I have just as much Pickens as I have Lamb. I have a whole lot. But I'm hoping that just the offense is going to rise all boats in that, and CeeDee Lamb is going to be a big part of opening up Pickens as well. So I think both these guys are great. I think Pickens can crack the top 10 once again, even with a healthy Lamb. But I do think Lamb is still the number 1 alpha here and comes in at number 5 on the list when we're ranking 5 through 9. Let me drop Lamb's stats. Let me get a photo with my guys. This is 5 through 9. We got Lamb at 5, Jefferson 6, London 7, Neighbors 8, and McMillan 9. Again, there's going to be a huge tier break between McMillan and Neighbors, and then I think another big tier break between Neighbors and London. So when we're looking at players that we need here, if you have a choice to choose between Neighbors and London. I'm taking London, and I think the name notoriety, you could even get a plus, and you're getting the better player. It does depend if you're in a competitive window or if you're rebuilding. If you're rebuilding, maybe you're going to slide more towards Neighbors and McMillan because you're not ready just yet. But if you're in a competitive window, it's Lamb, Jettas, and London taking the cake here. They're giving you elite numbers. They're wide receiver ones consistently throughout the year. They're banging that number. Like we said, Drake London did it 3 times this year in 17 weeks. He was hurt a lot, but still had 3 wide receiver 1 overall numbers. And those are the things that win you fantasy championships. So you got to lock in one of these guys on the left. It's okay if you're rebuilding to go on the right side here to Neighbors and McMillan. But when I'm talking about building a championship roster, these guys are going to be involved. London, Lamb, Jettas, those type of guys as we close out our 5 through 9 receivers in the fantasy flock rankings. CeeDee Lamb taking home the number 1 option here.